top, I can see all the different sources that I have connected, and the ones that I've already connected and are using, and then I can see available sources to connect down below. Each source has a different kind of setup configuration, and so it's, would be not great use of our time for me to go through how to connect all of these, but it's very simple to set up. You click on one of these options and it'll take you through the steps. Generally, we recommend connecting all of these sources with an admin account or like a system user account. So probably talk to your IT teams. You've probably got like an IT at your company name domain user that you'll want to add into Guru and connect to these various sources. And the content that's going to be searchable in a lot of these sources. We'll go over some exceptions, but for the most part, the content that's going to be searchable through these sources is going to be based on the permissions of the admin who sets them up. So whatever the system user has access to in those sources could be searchable. We'll go over some more exceptions to that rule. Be searchable by whoever you give access to that source. So you'll see here that I've got all these sources and I've hooked up all these sources, but I can also decide who these sources are available to. So I can choose, just like a collection, to make them available to all members, or I can make them available to specific groups. And really customize who has access to each of these different sources. So in general, you're probably not going to want to make every source that you maybe connect to Guru available to everybody. Probably each team will have more use cases for specific sources than others. So you'll want to make sure that, just like collections, that you're only giving the access to the source to the people that are actually going to need and use that source, and that'll help you avoid crowded search results as well. Let's get back to my deck here. So we've got a couple different types of sources that I'm going to go through here. The first one is the one of the go-to use cases for most people is connecting different file storage tools, most commonly Drive, but also SharePoint, OneDrive, Box, Confluence, Notion, Dropbox, all these logos that you see over here. These are good because, if you just got Guru recently, then probably you are also dealing with one of these tools where you've been storing information for a long time, and you just want to maybe hook Guru up and make that information instantly searchable. So you can hook these sources up to Guru and then search them from Guru. Or maybe you have other teams that haven't gotten into Guru yet and are still leaning heavily on these other sources. It's good to connect those sources to make that team's information available to the people that are using Guru. So in terms of example questions to ask these types of sources, that's going to be pretty much anything that you might normally ask to Guru, because it's just going to depend on what teams are using those different sources. And then you have inherited permission options with Google Drive, especially. So inherited permissions means that you can just click a button and say whatever the user already has access to in Drive, they'll also be able to search from Guru as well. That can be really nice because it's less work for the people setting up these sources. It's just going to make searchable everything that they already have access to already. So you don't need to do the granular permission work of assigning it to specific groups inside a Guru. You can just click the inherited permissions option. And you'll see like that with Slack here. I've got this source is using in native permissions, and so you would see that option for a Google Drive folder as well if you chose the inherited permissions option there. Just be careful with that one because it might lead to a lot of crowded search results. If you have a Drive instance that's been around for a really long time, there's probably a lot of junk and out-of-date information in that Drive. So if you are going to make everything in that Drive searchable that the users have access to, they might get some less than ideal results. And maybe it'd be more appealing to you to curate a folder of good information inside of Drive, and then just connect that folder of good sort of verified information. But the options are there for either use case, whatever's going to suit your needs better. Slack, Definitely one of the most popular sources we have here. The ability to connect to Slack is great because it can cover knowledge gaps. A lot of good information is going to get shared in Slack day in and day out, and there's going to be lag time between getting that information into Guru um, and creating Guru cards out of those conversations and good information that's shared. If you hook up a Slack channel as a source, then that means that the information shared in that Slack channel can be used to produce suggested answers, can be found in your answer and search results, like we see here. So that's really helpful to hook up. A lot of teams get a lot of great information about that. It used to get cut off at 90 days, but now it'll look back in perpetuity if you set it up today for the first time. So all the information that's been shared in that Slack channel could be used to answer a question. Again, you just anything that you might normally ask Guru is going to be a good question to ask Guru here and get back suggested answers informed by Slack conversations. And just like I showed a minute ago, you have the inherited permissions option as well. So you can set up specific channels and give access to just specific groups to those specific channels, or you can just say whatever the user already has access to in Slack, they'll be able to search across using the inherited permissions option. Maggie, any questions so far?
Yeah, Hillary asked a good one. I think before you started to explain it, Hillary asked for connecting Google Drives. Do I need to be an admin on the specific drive if I want to connect a single folder and don't want to provide access to the entire drive? So, to connect those inherited permissions that Matt was just talking about, you do need to be an admin. But Hillary, if you're an admin in Guru and you're not an admin in Google and you wanted to just bring over a folder and ensure that only you or specific individuals have access, you do not need to be an admin in Google. I just typed that out. I'm going to share it if it's confusing with me saying it. And I'll share that with you too, where you asked the question. But if you have any follow-ups to that, definitely let us know. We can talk a little bit more about the permission setting there.
Yeah, totally. But permissions can get really nitty gritty and specific and kind of confusing. And so, yeah, welcome all those really specific questions around permissions. It would be exhaustive for me to go through all of the different permission configurations here in this workshop. So, definitely, if you have further questions about that, let us know. And thanks, Hillary, for the question. We also have, in addition to file storage sources and Slack, customer ticketing sources or IT ticketing tools. So these are things like Zendesk, ServiceNow, Intercom, Customer, HubSpot. A lot of different customer ticketing tools for support teams and IT teams are available as sources. These are great because they can give you real examples of how your team has handled questions before. So if you have a question, you ask Guru, you're going to get back maybe a ticket that somebody how showing how somebody responded to that exact question before. That's going to be really helpful for your team in handling it again. It can, a lot of times Guru only gets what gets documented in Guru is only going to be like the most common kind of scenarios and the most frequently asked questions, but hooking up your customer ticketing sources can be really useful for understanding edge cases, the things that lay outside of the norm that maybe come up really infrequently, but can be really useful to have access to see how somebody handled that question before. So that you're consistent in how you handle those really nuanced, kind of funky examples. And it also give you more awareness of sort of ongoing issues that have been reported. So you might ask questions to Guru like, what's the error on a given feature, or how do I process a cancellation, or how have we handled this, situation or this topic before, or are there any reported issues with a given topic? All good questions to ask if you have your ticketing source hooked up to Guru. We also have CRM sources. So Salesforce, that's another big one of our most popular sources here. This can be really advantageous to connect to Guru to give you quick access to, all of your account information, renewal dates, plan details, revenue intel, contact information. You want to be able to see, what the stage of a customer is in. Maybe you're a salesperson, you want to know who a go-to contact is or what a person's role is going into a call. You can ask Guru all of those kinds of questions to get up to speed on a customer or prospect before you enter into a call with that customer or prospect, or are maybe responding to emails. You can have, if you have your CRM hooked up, it's really useful because you can actually ask Guru, or you can ask our ChatGPT later integration that I'll show later. You can ask it to craft emails for you, and having the information about the account already available to the AI to help inform an actual contextually appropriate email response is going to be really, really valuable in saving the team time. So that's where the CRM sources can be really, really helpful to have hooked up to just give you quick access to, freshen up before a call, give you information that you might need to know during a call, and then also, when it comes to responding to customers and tickets or communications, being able to have all of that account history's context available to the AI to help it produce a really great response is awesome. And then we have PM as a project management and software development sources. Monday, Asana, Trello, Shortcut, ClickUp, some of the most popular ones. This is going to have be useful to hook up for some teams because it's going to have information about ongoing stuff, stuff that's in the works that's probably doesn't get documented in Guru right away because it is so in flux. And so you want to have insight into what's going on with projects. You can ask Guru, what is the status of a given project? When is this project due? Has a task been completed that's related to that project? That's going to, be really easy to do from Guru, and can be really helpful for, customer facing teams to have more insight into what the product team is up to, where your engineering teams are up to, so that they can communicate, timelines more appropriately with customers as well, and give more cross departmental insights and transparency. And lastly, just some other sources that really don't fit into a nice, neat category. But one of the best ones is hooking up Gong. So if you use Gong for call recording, you can make your call summaries, highlights, and action items searchable. So that's really useful for customer facing teams who want to freshen up on what they talked about last time with a customer. They can just ask Guru, hey, what was the conversation that I had with, this customer on such and such a date? And it'll spit out, summary that's informed by Gong. Um, GitLab, GitHub, you can hook up your wikis, your code repos, and issues. You can make all of those searchable. That's usually helpful for engineers and product teams. If you use README for your help centers, like we do here at Guru, we use README. You can hook that up as a source to make your help center content easy to search. And then Smartsheet, if you don't use Google Sheets or you prefer a program like Smartsheet, you can hook up individual tables from Smartsheet to make those easily searchable in Guru there. And then best practices for connecting any of these external sources. In general, you want to do your best to make sure that the information in those sources is actually trustworthy information. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying about hooking up Drive with inherited permissions. Just be careful that there's not too much bad information in any of these sources that's going to lead to conflicting answers, that's going to lead people down a wrong path, or is just going to have, flat out wrong misinformation, out of date information in it. So be mindful of that. Just like collections, give access to only the relevant groups that are going to use those sources. Get friendly with filtering. So when you are searching inside of Guru and you do a search, or you ask a question, you're going to want to use these sources over here, these source filters over here on the right hand side, to filter down to just the sources that you want to see. So make sure your team and your users, know about the ability to filter down by those sources if you are hooking up external sources, so that they don't get lost in the sort of sea of results that might surface, and they can really drill down into the results that they want to see. And be extra selective with what you sync whenever possible. So over here on the right-hand side, this screenshot here shows the ability for you, if you're hooking up your Zendesk customer ticketing platform, to be able to filter for modified at date attributes. So what that means is that you can tell Zendesk like, hey, only look back in time to the beginning of this year. And so it's not going to, scrape in, or it's not going to read all the information that, has you've been sharing with customers for all time. So a lot of the customer ticketing sources have that ability, and some of the file storage sources have that ability as well, to filter for dates, but also for specific folders, and then for specific groups as well. So whenever possible, be really selective with what you're bringing in, just so, again, you're not bringing in a ton of information and are going to get crowded search results.